Hello once again, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Suzuka circuit for the fourth round of the 2020 NOSSCAR GT Cup Series season. This legendary circuit in Suzuka City, Japan, opened originally as a Honda test track in 1962, and has since played host to many different racing series, most notably Formula One and its historical championship battles that have been settled here. Tonight in the GT Cup Series, we will see if the championship battle will close up, after Toyota driver Pac-Man has seen early dominance this season, winning all three races so far. Trenton Krentz starts on pole here in Japan, looking for redemption after crashing out of the lead last week in Belgium. To find that redemption, he'll have to run perfectly at one of the most difficult tracks in the world. This 3.5-mile circuit starts with a 1,000-foot run in the first set of corners, a double right-hander. The drivers then head uphill through a seemingly never-ending set of S's, and after racing through the sweeping left Dunlop corner, they'll start the second sector of the lap. Sector 2 leads the drivers to the two right-handed Degner corners, under the bridge, and through a slow uphill left-handed hairpin. Back down the hill, the drivers will have to navigate the tricky fast left-hander of Spoon, and after that they'll head back uphill into the final sector. At the end of a long back straight, they'll blast through the famous left turn kink of 130R and over the bridge, ending the lap after negotiating the Casino Triangle chicane. Enough for me. Let's get to the starting grid for today's Japanese Grand Prix. Trenton Krentz will lead the field to the green tonight. This is his second pole of the season, but he's yet to get his first win of the season. Last week, it looked like it was a sure thing, that first win. However, after leading the first 20 laps in Belgium, he made one mistake which sent him back to finish third and settle for bronze. Tonight, he knows that nothing would be sweeter than a redemption victory. He finished second here last year, and he's looking to one-up that here in 2020. However, the man who nobody can stop so far this season, Pac-Man, will start right behind him. Pac-Man has won the first 3 races of the season, and tonight he'll look to get around Trenton Krentz and make it a quartet of gold trophies. The third man in the championship battle, Bill Baldwin, who will start third in line. Last year he finished 11th here in Japan. He's looking to definitely do a better job of that, and maybe a much better job and take that gold trophy home, become the first driver to win this year not named Pac-Man. Starting fourth in his Corvette is Jesse Carlson. Jesse's had a really good debut season so far. He's hung around the top 5, has yet to get that top 5 this season though. Tonight, starting from fourth, he won't have much work to do, just keeping some guys behind him. We'll see if Jesse can secure that first top 5 of his career here tonight in Japan. Right behind him, however, is his Corvette teammate of Chris Ryan. These two went at it last week in Belgium with a very exciting battle with a lot of strategy coming into play. We'll see how these two race each other tonight. Percussive starts 6th, and he had a really solid start to the season with 2 fourths and then a 5th. We'll see if he can continue that top 5 streak here tonight. Starting from 6th, however, it's the lowest he started all year in his Toyota FT1. Jeffrey Robinson Jr. makes his first career start here in Japan. He'll start 7th in his Nissan GTR. Usually that's Tyler McMurder in the GTR. However, he cannot race for the remainder of the year due to other obligations, but he's left the car in good hands. Jeffrey Robinson Jr., a Supercross champion here in NOSSCAR. We'll see what he can do with 4 wheels now. He starts 7th in his first race, off to a very good start in his career. Larson Rocks makes his first start in what is also the Dodge Viper's first start of the season. That Dodge Viper, we haven't seen it yet, but we'll see if he can snake it through the field from 8th on the grid. Cameron Norton starts 9th in the 3rd Corvette on the grid. He's had an okay season so far. He's finished in it with his first top 10 last week in Belgium. We'll see if he can carry that momentum into another top 10, maybe even a top 5 here tonight. Welcome back, Rob Oglesby, who will start 10th in his Hyundai Genesis. He missed last week, but he got his first top 10 of his career at Blue Moon Bay Speedway, which is his last start. So we'll see if he can carry that momentum into another top 10. Alex Tasdal in his Ford Mustang will start 11th. He made his debut last week in Belgium and finished with the top 10. We'll see if he can make that 2 in a row to start off his career. Rob Lohman Sr. starts 12th on the grid in the Chevy Corvette, and he's had a slow start to the season so far, but tonight he's going to try to hit the ground running and get some momentum for the rest of the season. Anon Games will make his first career start in his Toyota Supra. He'll start 13th and last on the grid. He's talked a lot about trying to be the next big thing in this series, and this entire league as a matter of fact, so we'll see if what he preaches comes true here tonight. Without any further ado, let's get down to the green flag where Trenton Krentz will lead his redemption charge. Here we go. Here comes 10 Group 3 cars from the NOSSCAR GT Cup Series around Parabolica at pace speed for the final time. Trent and Krentz will lead them to the green flag, and we're underway here at Italy. NOSSCAR GT Cup Series takes on the Temple of Speed for the 5th round of the season. Trent and Krentz will lead him into turn 1. Pac-Man right behind him. You see him there, the green Toyota FT1. Will we see him go for a move into turn 1? He's pretty far back. I don't think so. Actually, he's going to go for the move on the inside. That's Pac-Man going for the lead. Doesn't look like he'll get it done. In fact, he runs wide. Pac-Man's in the gravel trap. That is your championship leader. He went for a move into turn 1. He hit the gravel trap, and he's going to fall way back in the field, all the way back to 7th. A very rare mistake from Pac-Man. Here on lap 1. And he sends himself into a deep hole to climb out of. You see just in front of him, here's Ayrton Games going for a move on Percussive for 5th. Looks like he cuts the corner a little bit, then makes contact with Pac-Man. And now Pac-Man's going to go under attack from Rob Lohman Sr. Rob makes contact with him. Pac-Man runs wide, keeps it out of the gravel trap. He'll hold on to 7th, but not after making contact with Rob Lohman Sr., and that was just after making contact with Ayrton Games. So just half a lap into this event, and Pac-Man's had a really rough start. Back up front, Trent Krentz still leads. And Bill Baldwin's under attack from Chris Ryan, the Corvette. Into the Ascari chicane. Bill's going to hold that P2. And early on, you see there, Trent Krentz with a big lead already. Bill Baldwin with 2 charging Corvettes right behind him. And then Percussive, his Toyota teammate, at the end of this train. You see them there. That's 2nd through 5th. A really dramatic first lap to this Italian Grand Prix. As championship leader Pac-Man goes for a move for the lead into turn 1. Makes contact with Bill and then runs wide in turn 2. Hits the gravel trap and falls back to... He's back to 6th now. He made a move around Ayrton Games. And here's a guy going for a move. It's Chris Ryan to the inside into turn 1 here on lap 2. Looks like they'll keep it clean. Side by side out of turn 2. Chris better on the traction, it looks like, and he's going to take that 2nd spot. Into Curva Grande. Bill Baldwin now in a Corvette sandwich. And he is the Toyota meat. Out of the sweeping right-hander into the 2nd chicane. Does Bill go for that 2nd spot? Doesn't look like it. Back end kicks out, as a matter of fact. And Bill's going to definitely have to yield that 2nd spot to Chris. He's going to have to set his feet and try to get back going. See there, Pac-Man already back up to 6th. Now at the tail end of this train. The lead engine is far ahead. That's Trent Krentz heading into Ascari now. Way ahead of the rest of the pack already. This is exactly what Trent needs to continue his championship charge. He's just hanging in there. The win last week, with the addition of some fastest lap bonus points and pole position bonus points, has really kept him in this championship. But now he's running away with an early lead, and if he could hold on to it for the next 56 minutes, then that's going to be win number 2 on the year, and he will be right up there with this man, Pac-Man, who runs in 6th. And this is not when Pac-Man run once. As a matter of fact, as they run, I do believe Trent Krentz has the championship lead as they run. So Pac-Man definitely needs to make a charge up through the field to get back into that net championship lead. Back up front, you see Bill Baldwin there. He went down the inside of Chris Ryan and then hooked it to the outside in turn 2. And that's that 2nd spot back for Bill Baldwin. Behind him, it's another Toyota FT1 going around another Corvette. A pair of Toyota on Corvette overtakes. And the guys at Chevy can't be too happy about that, as Percussive got around Jesse Carlson at the same spot that Bill got around Chris Ryan, but Chris has already gotten back around Bill. So these two guys going tit for tat already on lap 3. Chris Ryan searching for his first career podium in the series. And best to get it done early. He now runs 2nd ahead of Bill Baldwin 3rd, as behind them is Pac-Man making a move on Jesse Carlson for 5th, right behind Percussive. So a lot of movement here throughout the field from 2nd back to 6th. Pac-Man went for a really good move through the Lesmos. We missed it. We got the tail end of it. He went for the move through the Lesmos down the inside of Jesse Carlson. That's not a usual place we'll see an overtake, but he got it done. As you saw there, out of Ascari, Jesse ran wide, so that's going to make him drop back a little bit. So Pac-Man, who dropped back to 7th already, back up to 5th, has done a great job already to climb out of this hole, but it's easier said than done to get from 7th back up front. Further on back, the rest of the field has fallen back. Here's Anon Games, who had a shot at 5th early on, has fallen back to 7th, quite a way behind. Behind him is Rob Lohman Sr. in 8th, Alex Tesdall 9th, and Rob Oglesby looks like he had a mistake through Ascari. He runs 10th. Back up front is still Trenton Krentz, coming up to 6 minutes already into this race. Trenton with a huge lead. He exits Curva Grande as the rest of the pack, led by Chris Ryan, entered Curva Grande. And here we see Bill Baldwin's got half a second penalty. That's not going to help him try to get back around Chris Ryan. That's going to hold him up a lot. It might hold him up to the point where he falls back into this battle. Pac-Man's gone around Percussive. As further on back, Jesse Carlson looks like he made a mistake. He might have gotten to the grass and spun or hit the wall or something, because he was right there when we switched to the camera, but then he just disappeared. So Jesse Carlson making a mistake and falling out of this top 5 battle. Pac-Man moving on up, now up to 4th. Bill Baldwin has served a 1/10 of a second on that 4/10 of a second penalty. Down towards Ascari, this battle will go. Do we see Bill go for the move? Looks like he's going to be too far back. He serves the rest of his penalty time. But Chris Ryan's got a bad run through Ascari. Bit of contact there, as a matter of fact. And Bill Baldwin pushed Chris Ryan through the middle of Ascari. Down one of the many long straightaways here at Monza. And already a dramatic first couple of laps. A lot of movement through the field. As here we go, we might see some more movement as they head into turn 1. Bill Baldwin all over the back bumper of Chris Ryan. Chris goes defensive as they start lap 5. Bill to the outside, and on the switchback, he's going to have the inside through turn 2. Into the braking zone. Will Chris hold his P2, or will he give it to Bill Baldwin? Looks like Bill's going to clear him before the braking zone. Yes, he will. So Bill Baldwin back up to 2nd. Chris Ryan back to 3rd. Right behind them in 4th, is Pac-Man, who had a wonderful view of that overtake. Bill had it done before the braking zone, but he does not have P2 on lockdown as Chris Ryan still on his back bumper through Curva Grande. Will he go for the move here in the second chicane? He's on that Toyota's back bumper. Will not go for the move, though. A twist and turn through the chicanes of Monza. On the far side of the circuit, the double right-hander set of Lesmo corners. The top of the boot, if you will. This track shaped like a boot, and there's Pac-Man. And that's going to be like a kick in the butt with a boot. He spun the tires out of the second corner there and hit the inside wall, and now he's under attack from Percussive. Does Percussive go for the move into Ascari? Does not look like it. So Pac-Man really pushing his car, was too early on the throttle. Back end kicked out, hit the inside wall, luckily did not spin, and he'll hold on to P4. Here's Chris Ryan in P3. He's got a second penalty. A 1-second penalty to serve. Serves a 1/10 of it going into Parabolica. But we will see a lot of penalties here in Italy, as these corners are very tempting to cut. Here is your leader, Trenton Krentz. Has led the first 6 laps from pole position. Had to really earn it last week in Suzuka for his redemption victory. Right now with the big lead, looking similar to how he dominated the early stages of Spa. Hopefully for his sake, he'll be able to hold on to it. Setting best lap after best lap. Fastest guy on track is in the lead. Bill Baldwin runs second. Chris Ryan yet to serve really anything of that 1 second penalty. Has served 2/10 of it. And far behind him, having to start yet another charge, is Pac-Man. Did not lose any positions. Right up here is where he made that mistake last lap. Luckily, he did not lose a position to Percussive. Percussive probably was being very, very kind to Pac-Man going into Ascari last lap. Percussive definitely could have gone for a move there. Does not... I guess he doesn't think that he'll hold him behind him anyway, so he let Pac-Man go. And Pac-Man stayed in 4th spot. So Percussive runs in 5th. Jesse Carlson still in 6th. Your top 6, all within Sector 3. Then 7th place, still now just entering the first Lesmo. That's Ayrton Games. Alex Tesdall in 8th. Not too far behind. And here's Rob Lemon Sr. hitting the gravel trap. He's in 9th. And Rob Oglesby going through the first chicane, nearly a lap down. You see there Trent Krentz right behind him. So we'll have our first lap car of the event. So reigning champion Trent Krentz, who had a very rough start to the season. Definitely starting his push for that championship lead now. Could very easily already have 2 wins on the year. Just lost it with just a couple minutes to go in Spa. That cost him his first victory of the year, but came back with a vengeance last week at Suzuka. Had a race-long battle with Pac-Man after he himself, Trent Krentz, made a mistake in turn 1 at Suzuka, charged up to the field and ended up winning the race. He's going to make sure that Pac-Man does not do the exact same thing here tonight. Pac-Man has caught up pretty close to that back bumper of Chris Ryan, who's in 3rd. And just off in the distance there, you see Bill Baldwin. You see him go by the camera now. Chris serves what was left of his penalty, and now he can definitely push, not have to worry too much. Well, no, actually, I was going to say won't have to worry too much about Pac-Man behind him now that he doesn't have a penalty, but Pac-Man is probably one of a couple guys you don't want to see in your rearview mirror in this series. So he will definitely have to worry about that green Toyota machine. Pac-Man, winner of the first 3 races of the season. Then finished 2nd last week, a very close 2nd. Trying to keep that podium streak alive. 13 minutes into the event already. Time just ticks away. It's not quite a 2-minute lap time here. About 1:45 or so. That's a pretty good lap. So probably be about 30 some odd laps. Pac-Man's already 13 minutes in, and he still runs in 4th, but he's going to go for the move for 3rd. Very soon, you see him all over the back bumper of that Chevy Corvette. Don't think he'll have the move here into the 2nd chicane. Takes a peek around the outside, nearly loses control. Does a heck of a job to keep control of the car. But he's going to have to stay behind Chris Ryan just a little bit longer. Runs a little wider through the right-hander there. It's what he's going to have to do to keep up the momentum when you're stuck behind a car like this. You don't want to stay in that dirty air. And here we go, down the back straightaway, down the hill, towards Ascari. This is the battle for P3 between Chris Ryan and Pac-Man. Pac-Man to the inside, into Ascari. Has a little wiggle on the apex of the corner, and Chris Ryan looks like he's going to keep the position. Pac-Man did not have a very good entry into the chicane and couldn't quite get the move done, but it's not over yet. Down the back straightaway towards Parabolica. Pac-Man on the outside. Chris Ryan on the inside. It'll be a really impressive move if he can get it done. Bit of contact there on entry. Pac-Man running very wide to keep up the speed. Chris Ryan on the inside trying to shorten the circuit. This door-to-door duel will continue down the main straight here in the Temple of Speed. Chris Ryan all the way to the inside. They fly by the camera. Chris Ryan cuts back onto the main racing line. Now Pac-Man cuts back to the inside. Does he go for the move? Yes, he will. This is the move he made a mistake on earlier. Keeps it on the track this time. Chris Ryan barely keeps it on the track. You saw there. Chris Ryan's back end kicked out. Pac-Man just drove right on by him. So Pac-Man now into the podium positions. A 9-lap charge from 7th to 3rd. And now his sights focus on, 1, keeping Chris behind him, and 2, catching up to Bill Baldwin. Your top 3 as they run are top 3 in the point standings for the championship. That's pretty much how it's been the last 2 weeks. As a matter of fact, Willow Springs, the season opener, is also the same exact top 3. See in the background there, Percussive doing some off-roading out of the right-hander. Now he's got Jesse Carlson to worry about down the back straightaway. This is the battle for 5th. Under the bridge, Jesse Carlson looks like he definitely has Percussive cleared. Just hold car on the track under braking, and Jesse Carlson moves up to 5th after we saw Percussive make that mistake into the gravel trap. So Jesse, out of nowhere, really seemed like he fell far back. And now he's all the way back up into 5th. Got his first top 5 of the season last week. And it was a long time coming. He's put on a really impressive show in that Chevy Corvette so far this season. And finally got that top 5. He very well deserved. I'm looking for another one here at Monza. Man, looking for another win. That's Trenton Krentz making his way through Curva Grande on lap 10, way ahead of the rest of the field. If we check the timing sheets, 8.9 seconds is the gap between Trenton Krentz and Bill Baldwin. Trenton Krentz with a big drift out of the second chicane. Fortunately, no bonus points for showmanship. But a very good display of car control there from Trenton Krentz, your race leader. He exits the Lesmos as Bill Baldwin just enters them, so that's the distance between the two. And it's a little less of a gap back to Pac-Man, but not much less of a gap. Pac-Man hits the gravel trap. He is really trying to catch up. We haven't really seen him have to drive through the field all season, so this is definitely going to be the race where he shows his overtaking ability. Willow Springs, he just kind of let people fall off the track in front of him, and he just kept his car on the track and ended up winning the race. Blue Moon Bay Speedway, that was just a matter of, you know, keeping your car facing the right direction and sustaining the draft, and Pac-Man did that, won the race by just a couple of inches. And then Spa, of course, he was running second basically all day. Trent Krentz dominated that race, and then Trent Krentz made a mistake, and Pac-Man just drove on by. So this is definitely going to be the first charge to the field that we're going to have to see from Pac-Man. So far, very impressive. 7th up to 3rd. Had it done in just 9 laps. Now we enter lap 11. Race leader heading through the first chicane. And here comes Bill Baldwin, 2nd place, starting the first chicane as Trent Krentz enters Curva Grande. Check the gap again. It has closed about a second. It's down to 8.8. Another 6.6 back to Pac-Man in 3rd. So we see here, 5th and 6th, Chris Ryan and Percussive come in for their first stops of the day. So that tells me that pit stops are going to start soon. Probably within the next 1 or 2 laps, we'll see the rest of that top 6 come in for their first stops. Jesse Carlson, I caught the tail end of that. Looked like he might have run wide to the second chicane, but looks like he's okay. He runs 4th now as his Corvette teammate Chris Ryan came into the pits. He was quite a ways behind Chris. You see there, Anon Games running way off in the gravel trap. He was quite a ways behind Chris before Chris pit, but he might pull off a really good overcut. I don't know. Last week, that's the exact story. Last week, it was Jesse Carlson, Percussive, and Chris Ryan all going for that top 5 spot. And Jesse pulled off an overcut, which ultimately got him a 5th place. Was really, really close to 4th. And right now he runs 4th and is going to try to hold it this time around. He's got some catching up to do to Chris Ryan. Here comes Bill Baldwin, your 2nd place car. He's in for his first stop of the day on lap 11. Trent Krentz has stayed out. Looks like he ran a little deep into turn 1 there. Probably nothing to worry about, though. Pac-Man's in for his first stop as well. Jesse Carlson, he is in. So we'll keep an eye out here. This is the battle possibly for 4th and 5th. Percussive not too far behind in 6th. So where will Chris Ryan and Percussive be when Jesse Carlson exits the pits? Jesse's still in his box. Chris Ryan exits Parabolica. And Jesse's leaving his box on the main straight. Here's Chris Ryan down, crossing the start-finish line there. Looks like Jesse has jumped him. The 48 Lotus Corvette has jumped his 24 Exalta teammate. That is another overcut work to perfection by the young Jesse Carlson. Percussive entering the first chicane now. Looks like he does have a little more catching up to do than I thought. But last week he kind of hung around behind the Corvette teammates and then ultimately finished the best out of this three-way battle that we've seen all season, really. Especially these two teammates here. The Hendrick-inspired Corvette team has really been going at it all season, have given us some really exciting battles. Chris Ryan and Jesse Carlson right now can have another battle. Here's Pac-Man running in 3rd. Trent Krentz, your leader, is in for his first stop. I'm sure Bill Baldwin won't pull off the undercut. But last we checked, the gap was 8.8, so once Trent Krentz leaves the pits and gets back up to speed, we will check the gap again. Bill enters Parabolica as Trent Krentz ends his pit stop. He gets back on track. And we won't even see Bill in the camera shot. He just now leaves Parabolica. So let's check the time now. It was 8.8 last we checked. It's 12.6 now. And the gap back to Pac-Man has dropped to 4.5. That's closed about 2 seconds. So Pac-Man really pushing to catch up to Bill for that 2nd spot. Here's Jesse Carlson running a very impressive 4th. Fell way back to 6th early on. A couple laps later, he finds himself in 4th. It's a nice comeback from him as well. Alex Tesdall has made his way up to 7th in his Ford Mustang. Anon Games, you saw him running 7th for the early stages of the race. But then we saw him off in the gravel trap a couple times. So that's probably why he's back in 8th now. Rob Oglesby has made his way back up to 9th. He was 10th for a while, but Rob Lohman Sr., who now runs 10th, obviously had some issues of his own. So the field has really moved around a lot in this first 13 laps. Already 23.5 minutes into the race. And it's been very eventful, very exciting to see Pac-Man make this charge up the field. You see there, you see the gap between Bill Baldwin and Pac-Man. The gap between 2nd and 3rd. As they head into Ascari on the 13th lap of the Italian Grand Prix. It was about 4. Now it's down to 4.0. So Pac-Man is really pushing to catch up to his fellow Toyota FT1. It's really just been a battle within manufacturers really all season. Every podium has been locked down by Toyotas. And then we've seen these two Corvettes go at it at the tail end of the top 5. That's basically how the season has gone. Is battles within manufacturers. Occasionally we will see that Toyotas and Chevys go at it. It's always good to see different manufacturers battling each other and the rivalries that form. Definitely a friendly rivalry between the two Corvette teammates. 48 lows. Another nice throwback. Jesse Carlson always on track with some of those beautiful schemes. Jimmy Johnson throwback. And Chris Ryan also. Very nice black and gold 24 Exalta scheme. Obviously Exalta doing a good job with the paint schemes as always, as they do in NASCAR. This Corvette's always a nice sight to see on the circuit. As they're about to lap the Ford Mustang, the guys in Detroit will not like this. Their Ford Mustang getting laps, 14 laps in by a pair of Corvettes. That's Alex Tesdall you see there, running the pink Busch number 4 Ford Mustang. And right here we will see Chris Ryan thought he might go for a move, but in fact he gets half a second penalty, so that move's gonna have to wait. Looked like he was gonna take that peek to the outside. We saw Jesse Carlson go defensive, but Chris must have cut the exit of Ascari because we saw on the screen half a second penalty time. He's already served 2/10 through Parabolica and hasn't fallen back too far. If you time it right at this circuit, I don't think penalties will bother you too much because of how effective Slipstream is. Because you serve that time, but you get back in the Slipstream and it sucks you right back up to the guy that you were right behind. You see right there, Chris serves another, what was it, 2/10. Saw behind him, Percussive. He has a penalty of his own. So Chris Ryan, despite having to serve 4/10 of a second penalty, still right behind his teammate. He's done a really good job to serve that time. To the first chicane, will he serve the rest? Does not look like it. Let's check this battle between second and third. Time sheets tell us 3.5 seconds, so the gap has closed. Not as much as it once was, but still definitely closed by half a tenth since we last checked a couple laps ago. Pac-Man, we saw him really pushing. He was hitting the gravel traps. We saw him hit the wall earlier. He was really pushing that car. He may have calmed down a little bit. That could be why the gap is closing just a little bit less than it was. But that is your championship leader running in third right now, behind two fellow championship competitors, Trenton Krentz and Bill Baldwin. And again, a trio of Toyotas in the podium spots right now. And a pair of Corvettes in fourth and fifth. Looks like Chris Ryan has served that last tenth of a second in penalty time, and now he can definitely push through the corners. He has fallen back just a little bit by the looks of it. But as I mentioned earlier, with Slipstream, as long as you stay in it, you can close that gap right back up. Man who's really hoping he can close the gap is Percussive, who's got a penalty of his own. He runs in sixth. He's had a top 5 every race this season. He's looking to keep that streak alive. Bill Baldwin and Pac-Man have had top 5s every race as well. Also, podiums every race. Percussive yet to get that first podium, but he is the third driver this season remaining to finish in the top 5 of a race. Looking to keep that streak alive, and also looking to keep it out of the gravel trap, as he has a very messy second chicane. The Toyota FT1 started the season with 3 fourth places. So we'll see if he can catch back up to these Corvettes who are battling up ahead of him. But it is quite a gap to close. Come up to the halfway point. Trenton Krentz has led every lap thus far. Pac-Man, who started second, your championship leader, went for a lap 1, turn 1 move. Didn't pay off, then ran wide out of turn 2, the second part of the first chicane. Hit the gravel trap, fell back to 7th. Crawled his way out of the hole, back up to 3rd by lap 9. And since then has just been trying to hunt down Bill Baldwin in 2nd, who early on had a really exciting battle with Chris Ryan. who has now dropped back to 5th, just behind his teammate Jesse Carlson. And when I say just behind, I mean right behind. You see there, just about bump drafting him down the main straight. Had to brake early to make sure he didn't push him through the corner. Very surprised that he didn't go for the move there with how close he was. And he might regret that now. As you saw there, out of the chicane, his back end kicked out. Not the first time we've seen that. That was ultimately how Bill Baldwin got around him. Chris Ryan was running second earlier, as I mentioned. He's battling with Bill. He had that second place, but his back end kicked out of the chicane. Bill drove around him, and since then, he hasn't seen that second spot. One man who's very close to seeing that second spot is Pac-Man. He is really closing up to Bill Baldwin now. It's about 5 laps left in the stint, about halfway through it. He might want to try to get this move done before they pit. With Pac-Man pushing this hard, he might have to short pit. Because with how hard he's pushing, he might have worn out his tires much more than everybody else. But you never know. Through Parabolica, let's check the timesheets. Down to just 1.7 seconds. Not too much further, and he'll definitely be within slipstream distance of Bill Baldwin. This battle will really heat up between second and third. Trent Krentz cool as a cucumber, however, up in first, way ahead. And won't be able to see this in his mirror, but will be very happy to know that second and third very likely will soon hold each other up by battling. Through Curva Grande, Pac-Man really trying to charge up to his fellow Toyota driver of Bill Baldwin. Riding the curbs, borderline corner cutting there through the second chicane. You see here, he is really close going into the first Lesmo. This is the corner that dirty air really affects you, so if he can stay right behind him about this gap, he can maybe have a shot into turn 1 next time around. Down the back straight, Rob Lohman Sr. lap car is ghosting. Lap cars do ghost, however, it can still be a distraction having another car on your screen, regardless of if you can drive through them or not. Because a lot of guys subconsciously just follow the other cars around them. So you see that car brake, you might brake. You see that car turn, you might turn. So if there's a ghosted car and he brakes too early or too late, you might make a mistake. Pac-Man, however, got through scot-free, and now it's just between these two with no lap car worries anytime soon. Through Parabolica, Pac-Man right on the back bumper of Bill Baldwin. Could he have a shot into turn 1? Probably. He is right on his back bumper. Start lap 19 of this event. Pac-Man, championship leader on Bill Baldwin, third in the championship. This is a battle for second place in this race. Does not go for the move. That was about the gap that he was behind on Trent Krentz on lap 1 when it didn't pay off. So probably playing it a little smarter that time around. But definitely really close now between these two. Halfway through the event, we're definitely going to see the aggression kick up just a little bit more. And Pac-Man gets a time penalty, and that's going to really hurt him. Serves 3/10 of it. Entering the first Lesmo. Now he hits the gravel. Big tank slapper between the two corners. And he is just not having a very good second sector. He was right on Bill's back bumper at the beginning of this lap, and now a couple mistakes. You've seen him pull away just a little bit. Serves the rest of that penalty as he enters Ascari, and now he's going to put his head down again. Have another go at it. While we wait for Pac-Man to try to catch up, let's check on the battles through the field. Jesse Carlson is definitely pulled from Chris Ryan. We saw this battle bumper to bumper as well. But that is no more, as Chris has definitely fallen back. That could be a result, excuse me, of the overcut that Jesse Carlson pulled off. So Jesse on fresher tires. Thank Chris. So that could be why Chris has fallen back. Percussive still trailing that battle in 6th, has another time penalty. Alex Tesdall in 7th. Rob Lohman Sr.'s made his way up to 8th. Rob Oglesby in 9th, and Anon Games has dropped back to 10th. About to go another lap down to Trent Krentz. He was on lap 20. I believe just put Anon 3 laps down now. Trent Krentz way ahead of the rest. Here's Bill Baldwin. Here's Pac-Man, who has really fallen far behind and has another time penalty. So that second place just escaping Pac-Man's grasp with just about every corner. He has really fallen off. Only thing I can think of is when we went to go run through the field, he made a mistake into turn 1. And that's where he lost a lot of time, because he has really fallen far behind Bill. It's up to 10 seconds. That's the highest we've seen that gap basically all race. It's almost a gap between Trent Krentz and Bill. So your top 3 now very spread out, and Pac-Man, who once looked like he had a definite shot at that P2, has a big hole to climb out of now. Pit stop should be coming soon, just what is likely the final stop of the race. Here's Trent Krentz. He's got half a second time penalty. I'm sure he's not going to worry too much about that with about a probably 13-second lead at this point. 14 and a half to be exact. And still sets a personal best, Sector 1. That's what this guy does. He just puts down fast slap after fast slap, regardless of the gap he has back to second place or whoever he's ahead. He just hot laps. He knows how important those bonus points are. They are what has kept him so close to Pac-Man in the championship, despite not having the results compared to him. But he keeps this up for the next 23 minutes and 20 seconds. He'll have 2 wins to Pac-Man's 3. So definitely getting close between those two. Chris Ryan has completed his second stop of the day. He should be good to go to the end. It'll be close on if these guys can make it without stopping again. But Chris makes his second stop earlier than everybody else. Percussive pit on the same lap as Chris last time around. He's going to stay out an extra lap. So maybe thinking that the overcut that Jesse Carlson's pulled off, that might be the way to go. But you see there, Chris Ryan actually had such a gap back to Percussive that he pit, and he's just behind Percussive after leaving the pits. So, to be honest, Percussive really needs a miracle if he wants to get back into this top 5 fight. Because Percussive yet to pit has the guy in 5th place who has already pit right behind him. Up ahead, way ahead, Jesse Carlson has yet to pit, and he's going to stay out at least another lap. He's going to be very happy if Percussive can hold up Chris Ryan, because Jesse definitely had Percussive in his rear view mirror. Or not Percussive, sorry, Chris Ryan right in his rear view mirror. 21 minutes remaining, less than that now, in this event. And things starting to cool off a little bit as the field spreads out. Trent Krentz has led every lap thus far, and I'm sure he does not want to give that up again. Bill Baldwin has run in 2nd place basically all day, aside from a nice little tip for tap battle he had with Chris Ryan earlier. Pac-Man runs probably a very angry 3rd, despite it being a very impressive drive through the field. 7th up to 3rd after an early mistake. But he knows he should definitely be up there, maybe with Trent Krentz for the lead, if he didn't make that mistake on lap 1. Jesse Carlson, who early on fell out of the top 5 battle, has made his way up to P4 now. And before this pit stop cycle started, a very comfortable P4. Chris Ryan runs P5. He has already made his second stop. Percussive just finished his second stop. He runs 6th. So right here we see Rob Lohman Sr. in the gravel trap. And Chris Ryan having to deal with a lot of lap traffic here through the middle part of the lap. So he's trying to put down some hot laps to catch up to Jesse Carlson. Here's Bill Baldwin in for his second stop. Trent Krentz staying out yet another lap. Pac-Man's going to follow him in. And here comes Jesse Carlson running in 4th. He's about to exit Parabolica. Looks like he's going to come in as well. So a 2-lap overcut by Jesse Carlson on Chris Ryan. It had worked with just 1 lap last time around. Chris Ryan had 2 laps. He had 1 lap behind Percussive, but he didn't have to worry too much about being held up. But this lap in clean air, and we'll see if he put down a good enough lap. Probably not, though. Jesse Carlson already out of his boxes. Chris Ryan's going through the middle part of Parabolica. Jesse Carlson comfortably in that P4 spot. And I'm sure is going to do his best to keep the car on track and not give up that P4. Which I believe will be a career best for him in just his first season. So Chris Ryan, a distant 5th place now. Everybody really starting to spread out here with about 18 minutes to go. Here's Percussive, who's already stopped. So your top 6, who for the first half of this race were really going at it just throughout the whole field, have really spread out now. Let's check the timesheets for all the gaps. Trent Krentz is yet to pit, but he's got 39 seconds back to Bill Baldwin. 7.3 back to Pac-Man from Bill Baldwin. So that gap has closed up about 3 seconds since we last checked. Another 10 back to Jesse Carlson, 14 back to Chris Ryan, and then 22 back to Percussive. So your top 6 has really spread out. Closest gap, 7 seconds. But that gap is closing. That battle for P2. We saw Pac-Man close that gap once. We'll see if he can do it again in this remaining 17.5 minutes. Trent Krentz still yet to pit. He is really stretching out these tires. And he will definitely be able to comfortably go to the end of this race without a worry in the world. There's Bill Baldwin exiting the first chicane as Pac-Man enters it. You see the gap there. Bill Baldwin enters Curva Grande, just as we saw Pac-Man going through the chicane. So, what was it, about 7 seconds? Now it's down to 6.7. So Pac-Man definitely pushing again to catch up to Bill. And we'll see if we can do it again. Anon Games there off in the gravel trap. Looks like he's waiting for the guys to go by. Maybe. I don't know. Anyway, back in front, Trent Krentz leading the way by about half a lap. Of course, yet to pull off that second pit stop yet. And it looks like he will come in this lap. So there's Trent Krentz, your leader, coming in for his definite final stop of the day. And from here, I'm just going to keep the car on the track and not lose what was probably about a 15-second gap. And he will become a 2-time race winner this season. Of course, 15 minutes to go, 16 minutes. Nothing is guaranteed. And something that, by the looks of it, that is not guaranteed is definitely that second spot. Pac-Man really pushing again to close that gap, down to 6.3 seconds now. Another 0.3 has closed from Bill back to Pac-Man. See the gap there. There's Bill, and you saw Pac-Man in the background. They go down the main straight for the 25th time today. And the later stages of this race, excuse me, look to be just trying to keep the car on track and hold your position. The only thing I can really see going down is Pac-Man if he can catch Bill Baldwin, who's 1/10 up on his personal best. I believe that's how Gran Turismo keeps track of it. I'm not sure. Pac-Man, we just missed his time, so let's just check the time sheets. Down to 5.9. So that gap is definitely closing again. Pac-Man there, we just saw some gravel kicking up. And that's how we ended up losing Bill earlier. So he's got to make sure to keep that car on the tarmac and not take it off-roading anymore, because he's been doing it all race. He's made his way up to third, but he could definitely be up in second if he could just keep the car on the track. We missed whatever was his big incident earlier. Likely that occurred in turn 1. That sent him back 10 seconds on Bill Baldwin. But again, he is closing that gap and going to try to have another shot at Bill. But right now that gap is stretched out again, I believe. Maybe? I don't know. My memory probably failing me. But it's 6.016 seconds between Bill Baldwin and Pac-Man. He's got 14 minutes to close that gap up if he wants a shot to P2. Crosses the line to start lap 26. And what's really impressive is this will be his worst finish of the season. 3rd place, worst finish of the season. I know, right? That's just terrible. Pac-Man has dominated the early first, what is this now? 5 races. This is the 5th race of the series. Won the first 3, 2nd place in Suzuka. And now here at Italy, looking for a podium. And Bill Baldwin, the only other driver to be on the podium every race. It's just a question of who's going to stand where. The man certainly standing on top of the podium as we run is Trent Krentz, setting another personal best, Sector 2. He is not giving up that fastest lap of the race. He's not going to push. He will not lay off. He wants to just race to the very end. So Trent Krentz leading the way, has led every lap of this race. Had pole position and going for fastest lap, going for the Grand Slam, if you will. Bill Baldwin runs 2nd, as he has all day. Pac-Man, nice drive from 7th up to 3rd. Trying to sniff out Bill Baldwin, but it's going to be hard to do. It's up to 6.2 seconds again, so the gap has grown over the last lap. Jesse Carlson in 4th. Just trying to put down some laps and finish this race in 4th. So he doesn't have to worry too much about Chris Ryan, but honestly, I do believe the gap has closed a bit. So that battle might not be over. We will keep tabs on it. Percussive in 6th, probably going to have to settle for it, unless if somebody in front of him makes a big mistake. And that'll end his very impressive top 5 streak to start the season. Still at 6th place. It's better than, you know, not 6th place. Man in 7th, Alex Tesdall in the Ford Mustang. Another very good showing from him in what I believe is his 3rd event now. Rob Oglesby, who early on fell far back in 10th, runs 8th. Rob Lohman Sr. in 9th. And Anon Games is stopped on the circuit. I think his car just reset. He is in 10th place. There are barriers all over the circuit. This is NASCAR. We'd certainly have a debris caution. Fortunately for Trent Krentz, we did not have any cautions in the series. Green light comes on, and it's go to the end. Ten and a half minutes remain here in Italy. It has been absolute dominance from the reigning champion, searching for his 2nd win of the season. And right now, it looks like a very sure thing. Bill Baldwin in 2nd, looking for another podium. Still searching for that 1st win of the year. But I'm sure it's not a matter of if. I'm sure it's a matter of when will he get that second win of the season. Pac-Man running third. I don't know if he'll be able to close in. 10 minutes to go now. It is down to 4.7 seconds. It has closed a lot over the last lap or two between Bill Baldwin and Pac-Man, but I don't know if he'll be able to get that 4 seconds. There's this pair of Corvette teammates. This gap was, I'm almost sure, a lot bigger earlier on. Now it's just down to 3.9 seconds between 4th and 5th. So we have 2 battles within 4 seconds of each other. 4.5 seconds of each other. So we'll have to keep an eye on both of those. One for a podium spot, one for best of the rest. See if either of those battles can close up a little more. That's Bill Baldwin and Pac-Man, and Jesse Carlson and Chris Ryan, who we might see a very late race battle between one of those sets of 2. Hopefully, for entertainment's sake, both sets of 2. There's Bill Baldwin going into Ascari, and there's Pac-Man going into Ascari. Pac-Man sets a very good sector 2, better than his own best to this point in the race. Runs very wide out of Ascari. Crosses his fingers he doesn't get a penalty. Does not look like he will. Jesse Carlson through those set of Lesmo corners. You don't quite see in the background Chris Ryan. He's just about a corner behind him. We'll see him in the background there. That's the gap between 4th and 5th. .0 seconds is the gap between 2nd and 3rd, so the gap has closed up just about another half second. It'll be really close if Pac-Man can do it. He's going to have to be perfect the rest of the way. The gap between Jesse Carlson and Chris Ryan, however, has doubled. So Chris, if he wants that 4th spot, might have to hope for a mistake. And that is something that Pac-Man's not going to want. Bill Baldwin just had a personal best Sector 1. So Bill really going to try to keep that gap steady, if not make it grow, in this last 7.5 minutes of the race. Gotta tell you, listen to the sounds of these cars here at the Temple of Speed. One of the best sounds you could ever hear. Just hear them echo through the forests of Italy. And it was quite a show that they put on today. And still 6 minutes and 20 seconds left of this event. Not quite over yet, but anybody who's got a hope of gaining another spot really has to put down some good laps to the very end. I believe this gap has grown. Yes, it has. 4.5 seconds again. 4.2. Still has grown 0.2 over the last lap between Bill Baldwin and Pac-Man. So 6 minutes to go. Probably 3-4 more laps. Pac-Man is going to have to set a couple fastest laps of the race. You see there, Ain't on Games resets as he cut the first chicane. There he is, stopped in the track. That's your 10th place car. About 6 laps down. He's going to spin out of turn 1, just in front of Alex Tesdall. And that's why we have a yellow flag in Sector 1. Man, going through Sector 2 now is your race leader, Trent Krentz, with not a worry in the world about losing that P1 spot. He runs an he holds an 18.5 second gap over Bill Baldwin, and the only way he's going to lose that is by falling off the track. And he did it once, and I'm sure he vowed to not do it again. Pac-Man really pushing, but In fact, the gap has closed back down to 3.7. So, at this rate, he won't quite catch him. But a mistake from Bill Baldwin, and if Pac-Man could just keep it perfect, and I mean perfect to the end of the race, we might just have a battle for P2 on our hands. Jesse Carlson definitely has that P4 locked down as long as he can keep the car on the circuit. Chris Ryan with a second penalty. Looks like that's going to hold him to that P5. Percussive, impressive top 5 streak is probably going to come to an end, but still a very solid showing to finish 6th. Alex Tesdall is going to hold that 7th place. Rob Oglesby 8th. Rob Lemon Sr. 9th. Anon Games in 10th. Coming up to 4 minutes to go. Trent Krentz heads through the second chicane on lap 31. So again, my math was off. I should probably invest in a calculator. Keeping tabs on this battle between second and third. It's not really a battle on track as much as it is just a battle of keeping composure and keeping the car on the track. Yellow flag through sector 2. Who is it? It's Anon Games. I'll hold my tongue. For a second, my stomach dropped for just a second. Thought it might have been Bill Baldwin. But nope, Bill Baldwin keeping steady. Still holding that second place with 3.5 minutes to go. Pac-Man runs third. Trying to chase down Bill, but 3.3 seconds at this rate, definitely not going to catch him. He's gaining only about maybe 2, 3, 4 tenths a second per lap. And with just 2 laps to go, that gap is not going to close. 3 minutes to go now. Trent Krentz has just started the lap. He goes to the first chicane now. So this next lap will likely be the white flag. Pac-Man is in the pits. Third place runner Pac-Man, who's trying his best to catch Bill Baldwin, has pit with 3 minutes to go, and that is him waving the white flag and saying, I will take P3 before I end up spinning the car out. Regardless, still a very impressive drive by the championship leader, recovering from his early mistake to catch back up and take third place. Had a shot at Bill Baldwin earlier, but couldn't quite get it, then made a couple mistakes, fell way back, had a push to catch again, and couldn't quite get it done. So Bill Baldwin probably going to very happily have a sigh of relief, as he can definitely comfortably take this P2 now. Here's Trent Krentz going down the main back straightaway up towards Parabolica to start his final lap of the race. Less than 1:40 to go. Through Parabolica for the penultimate time at Toyota Supra. Likely going to see victory lane for the second time this season. Takes what is technically the white flag and starts his final lap here at Monza. Trent Krentz into the first chicane with probably a 20-second lead at this point. Yes, 20.049. That is over Bill Baldwin, who's going to start his final lap. He is in second. Pac-Man through Parabolica will take third. Jesse Carlson running fourth. Will not have to worry about an attack from Chris Ryan like we thought he might. That is 4th and 5th. Percussive in 6th. Jesse Carlson will probably be the first car. Actually, no. Percussive might take the checker flag and be the first to cross the line. He runs 6th. Alex Tesdall 7th. Rob Oglesby 8th. Rob Lemon Sr. 9th. Anon Games stopped out of Ascari in 10th. 30 seconds to go. Trent Krentz. Trent Krentz under the bridge. into the Ascari chicane for the final time. He's going to time it just about perfectly. Time has run out, and Trent Krentz has one more corner to go. The famous Parabolica corner here in Monza. Into the braking zone for the final time. Reigning champion Trent Krentz, who had a rocky start to the season, puts his head down, wins Suzuka, and is going to go back-to-back and now win at Monza and start his championship charge here in 2020. Bill Baldwin down the back straightaway. He's going to head through Parabolica, take the checker flag in a very nice second place. Still searching for that first win that I'm sure he will find this season. Pac-Man through Ascari. He's going to be kicking himself about the mistakes he made. He made the mistake on lap 1 that basically threw away a shot at the win, and then still made the drive through the field, but was really messy. He was really driving the car, fell off the track a couple times. That set him back to third instead of what probably could have been a second place. Still, a really solid third for the championship leader. Jesse Carlson is locked in that 4th spot as Chris Ryan and Percussive have already crossed the line. So, second top 5 for the young rookie, Jesse Carlson. He'll take it home 4th. So he comes through Parabolica for the final time. Chris Ryan and Percussive, as we mentioned, 5th and 6th respectively. Alex Tesdall will take the checker flag in just a second. He'll finish 7th. Rob Oglesby will finish 8th once he crosses the line. Looks like he's out of fuel. Rob Lohman Sr. has already crossed the line in 9th, and Anon Games rounds out the field in 10th. Last car will cross the line. That's Rob Oglesby. And that was your 2020 NOSSCAR GT Cup Series Italian Grand Prix, the 5th round of the season. And we hope you join us for the 6th round next week.